Morning. Today we are going to continue working on this Kawasaki KX125. It's been a couple of weeks now since the last one. Last weekend was Father's Day, so we didn't get any work done last weekend, but we are going to get back to it today. So here we go. We're going to continue disassembling this KX125. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm going to start off by removing the carburetor here. There's a zip tie that's holding this cable in place. What I need to do is actually get this throttle assembly off of here. Let's see what size those are there. Phillips head for this. Loosen up for the carburetor to get that out of here. To where that rubber boot connects in to where your reeds are at inside this right here. Get this carburetor out of the way, then we can work on getting these bolts and removing that boot and everything, but we're going to get that carburetor out of there first. Oh man, it blew the gloves out. That's not good. Get another one. This out of the way for a second here. Get this carburetor out. Ah, there we go. It's really tight in that boot, but it did get out of there. And we'll get this controls and everything taken off up here. Then we'll get this fed through there, and we'll get that whole throttle cable assembly, and a slider that goes back into the carburetor here. I'll hook back up here a little bit. And I want to tighten this back up on this boot, this little clamp here, so it doesn't fall off and get lost. We'll worry about getting that boot actually removed from the engine a little bit later. It's not going to affect us in pulling the engine. That's kind of what I want to get done today. I got to get these radiators. I got to pull all these radiator lines out and get all that fluid drained out. This transmission's leaked a lot of fluid down on the ground. I got that all drained out now. There might still be a little bit still left in the crankcase, but not too much. But I'm sure that there's still antifreeze and stuff there in those radiators that will have to get drained out. All right, might as well just start getting these radiator hoses loosened up here. That one takes a flat head. Man, that one's not even tight at all. And that I did not loosen that one up. I'm not sure. Maybe there isn't any fluid in this bike. It doesn't look like. We'll go ahead and get this taken off of there. That's good. I'm glad that hopefully that fluid is out of there. Makes it a little easier on it. Next, we're going to work on this. There's a coolant tube that goes between. It's a crossover from the one side of the radiator to the other one there. We'll get those guys loosened up. That side's loose, and then it uses, one side's a Phillips and the other side is a flathead. Get in there and grab a hold of that. problems. Grab another bit. This one's kind of messed up. Alright, toss that one in the garbage. Alright, those are both loosened up. Oh, there's a crossover down here on the bottom as well. One side looks like it's a flathead, and the other side looks like it's a Phillips, just like above. Seems to be what's going on all of these radiator hoses here. One side of it, they're using a clamp with the regular flathead, and then the other side they're using a Phillips. I think when I replace all these lines, I'm going to actually put on some colored. I've seen blue radiator hoses. I'm not sure what color I actually want to go with, but definitely want to put something different on there to dress it up a bit. These clamps are loose. Little bolts down here that hold this radiator in place. They're 8mm. Get those off of there, and then I can probably get this side of the radiator off of there. Guys, loose. That bolt out. That's what they look like. It's just a little bit tight. Get wrench on. There we go. Loose now. There's the other one. Little 8mm. We'll see if we can get that radiator out of there. Those clamps are, those is around there pretty tight. Screwdriver to help pry on these hoses here a little bit, try to get them out of there. Wow, that babies are on there. Grab a hold of these. There's a little coil right here between these two radiators. I'm going to It's an 8mm that hold the bolts for it. Get those out of the way. Try to get that up and out of the way to get better access to that crossover hose there. The bottom one, I'm not going to be able to do that. I might be able to remove that bracket down there, that front engine mount. Get better access to that bottom one, but get a pair of pliers on the hose and twist it to break it loose. Those things are stuck in those radiators pretty tight. It's hard to tell how long they've been on there. It's maybe never removed from this motorcycle ever. It's hard to tell. Speed it up here a little bit. There's one of them off. And you want to remember you got a couple of ground wires that actually go underneath that when you remount that coil back in place. You don't want to forget any of your ground wires. That'll give you some problems down the road. Get these out of the way. All right, there's a little connector. Get that coil completely taken off of there and out of the way. That helps out a bunch. All right, now we'll try to get this pipe loosened up here. Alright, that one's come loose for me. Move this bottom hose clamp out of the way a little bit. I can get something on there to kind of move that one around to see if it'll break it loose. There it appears it's loosened up now. Let's see if we can get these radiators. Oh, there we go. Oh, there's antifreeze in there. That's not too bad. Come on, baby. Get off of there. All right, that side of the radiator is off and out of the way. Out and cleaned up off the ground here a little bit. All right, now we're going to work on this other side and this other radiator off of here. Still got part of the shroud on here. Get that out of the way.
That's out of the way. This is going to get replaced as well. And beat up. Not as bad a shape as what the other side was, but it still needs to be replaced. Have to get that ratchet back out from those, just to get them broken loose. There we go. Seems to be a little tighter than what the other side was. They're both 8mm, just like the others. There, they're loose now. I can put that socket back over on the screwdriver handle. One of them off. Again, I'm trying to do a pretty detailed video on disassembly in case anybody else out there is going to be doing the same thing. This isn't an instructional video by any means. It's just things that I can look back at this video as well and know where all these parts went and the fasteners that were used on those certain parts when it's all going back together again. It's always a good thing to document everything that you're doing. Okay, that is out of the way. Let's see here. Look, that's got antifreeze in it as well. Let's see. These pliers to try to loosen up the radiator hose on the connection to the radiator. There it goes. Loosened up a lot there. Okay, get that guy out of there. That one's out of the way now. Both radiators are gone. These radiators seem to be in pretty good shape, so I don't think I'm going to replace them. I'll inspect them further when we get closer to start putting this guy back together again. All right, the next thing I'm going to work on is this. They've got a 10mm bolt on the bottom and an 8 on the top. I don't think this 10 is originally here. That out of the way. Get this wiring loom out. Maybe that was supposed to be a 10 all along. I'm not sure. Haven't worked on that part of it before. The top one, the 8mm bolt. This thing was sitting on there pretty loose. That bottom 10mm was pretty tight, but the top 8mm was really loose. That wire goes up to that kill switch. Now we're gonna go up here onto this handlebar and we're gonna undo this kill switch. It's got this wire that goes to that box there. This guy out of the way.
think it's time for a new one of these. Part of this clamp is busted. So yeah, part of it just fell off onto the ground. Actually, it looks like it's just the plastic housing, but it's time for a new one. Yeah, that was supposed to, part of that plastic broke off that it clamps into. That thing's smoked. Definitely time for a new one. Alright. Next, we're gonna undo this clutch lever here, 8mm. I'm gonna put new levers on this thing when I start putting it back together. There's nothing wrong with it, but just dress the bike up. That through there. Let's see if we can actually get that clutch cable disconnected here. It's pretty tight. Run that tension cable tensioner to that point right there. It's got a little slit through it, and hopefully I can get enough of that cable out to, yeah, it's still really tight. Okay, that's starting to go. All right, looks like we got her. Loosens that up and get that cable out. I'm quite sure that is not the way that's supposed to be done, but I got it to work for me. And now we're gonna jump over there on that other side and disconnect that front brake. 8mm again. Master cylinder, everything's built into it. Once this thing's off and away, then it can probably drop, and everything pretty much disconnected from the front forks and front tire and everything. So this should just be able to come off, and don't have to disconnect any of these brake lines or anything and empty all the fluid out. It should be able to stay together there. From that, okay. These back in there so we don't lose them. 8mm bolts. Don't want to lose those bolts, so we'll put those back in. Yeah, this one's going to get replaced for sure. The end of it's busted off. Master cylinder is probably good. We'll try to get like a rebuild kit or something for it and make sure that we're not going to be losing the fluid or anything like that. Put that down on the ground. Now we'll disconnect and get that throttle out of the way as well. 8mm
bolts as well on this. All of the controls are all 8mm. One out. Put that bolt back inside so we don't lose it. Feed this. It's definitely going to need a new throttle cable. The throttle cable, the pieces are, it's missing parts that are broken off. Put that back in, leave this assembly all together, drop it back into the carburetor and leave everything alone until we get ready to start putting stuff back together, rebuilding that carb and whatnot. Now we'll start removing these handlebars. These are a 12mm. Fits pretty good. Get these guys broken loose here. Pretty tight, but it looks like I got that one loose. Alright, that one is definitely loose. Let's work on this second one here. That one is loose. 4 of these, all those bars on there. Alright, that one's real loose now. This one busted loose a little better. Okay, those are both really loose. Let's get these front ones here. Reposition you guys. Now you can get a better view there. Breaking these guys loose. This one looks like it's stripped out just a little bit. Oh, that one's loose. It might just be, this one's pretty tight. 3 out of 4 were good and tight. One's a bit loose. Never rode it anyway, so that doesn't really concern me too much. Once I start riding it though, all these are going to have to make sure they're real good and tight. Do not want these handlebars moving around on you when you're riding. That could be very bad. One of these, and then you should be able to loosen this other one up just enough to slide down the bar. But come all the way off. There's the bars. They're now off, and we will put the top of these clamps just back in place here, so you don't lose these bolts or anything here. Leave those like that for now. I think we're going to start getting this front motor mount taken apart here. That's a 12mm.
this bolt's already starting to round off, but it is, yeah, there it comes loose. Top one here, that's broken loose now. That's good. This top one is not 12, it's probably 14, I'm guessing. Yeah, that one is 14 millimeter there. Grab a wrench, throw on the other side there. All the way out there. Get it loosened up. Okay. 14s out of there. 12s, I mean, not the 14s. 14s are already done. The bottom one is still a bit tight there. Put both of these nuts back on there for a minute. Once I get that bracket off, put all this stuff right back on that bracket. So this one is ready to come all the way out. Perfect. Okay. 14 is the one singular one that goes to the front of the engine, and then the other two that go through the frame are both the 12s. So put those bolts back in, and then put these nuts back in there so we don't lose them. We know exactly what we got here. This wire in here, I want to pick that up and not be putting any stress on that connection right there. So, yeah, where it goes in, just lay that up on top for right now so don't put any stress on that. Now there's, right behind that wire, which is right there, there's another front mount. I'm going to find out what size those bolts are. Let me reposition you so you can see in there. Alright, that one, that other bolt setup is a 14 millimeter as well. It's right down in here. This one seems to be pretty loose. Okay, there's the nut off of it. I can't believe how loose that was. Somebody has been in there working on that, and that bolt did not get tightened back down. That bolt out. There. Screwdriver to tap on the other side of that bolt. I got it sticking way out over here. Easily slide that bolt the rest of the way out. Put that nut back on it, and that's, ooh, I don't know if that's supposed to be like that. You can see where it's kind of stripped out right there. I think that bolt's gonna have to be replaced. Another one of the front engine mounts. I think this last motor mount we're going to actually use a couple of ratchets to get into it. Can't seem to get a get in there with this. See if I can find another extension here real quick. Found a deeper socket to get in there. Still the same extension. I'm not sure where my long extension, I think it's out in my car actually, but this should be able to do the job anyway. This one seems to be pretty darn tight. Let's see here. Oh boy. Alright, that might be getting loosened up there. Alright, we're getting something here. Alright, it's all out of there now. Got that bolt loosened up. We will use that screwdriver again to try to pop that boy out the other side. There it goes. And that engine feels like it's pretty loose. Grab a hold of it. Alright, I think this engine's about ready to come right out of here, which is good. Been a long time coming. Get to that point. All right, so we got all that engine all loosened up there. After that last bolt, when I was moving the camera, the engine shifted and come over to this one side a little bit, so I know everything now is undone. So let's see if we can grab a hold of this big guy and actually get it out of the frame. Okay. Oh, we're getting close. Look at that. We got the engine out. That is awesome. All right, sweet. Making some serious progress here. Down inside that skid plate, you can see, I can't really see it too much from in here, but there's a lot of oil still sitting in here. Get that all cleaned up. Much better. And that's what we look like right now. We are getting really close to having this thing all torn apart. Got a little bit of a mess I got to clean up over there, but we're getting so much closer to getting this thing all totally disassembled. All these parts laying over here on the ground. There's the engine, some other stuff over there, and it won't be too long. We'll be tearing that motor apart. Stay tuned, guys. All right, guys, that's going to be a wrap for today's video. Got a lot accomplished. Got that engine completely out. The next thing we're going to work on, I'm not sure if I can get to it this weekend, but I've got some other stuff that I got to go deal with and get to today. So we will catch you guys on the next one, but we're making some progress on the next video. We are going to
try to get that front end completely off those tubes and everything, and get that whole front end and get everything down to just a bare frame. That's what I'm going to try to do in the next video. So thank you guys very much for tuning into these videos. I hope you like this series, and stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and to the videos. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.